So he fakes forward. They both keep going. And he stops in place. They keep going. He passes to Dobson. Dobson goes around that defender that went ahead of him on the left, slides it to Lee. He's got an empty net, Lee, on his favored side. He's a lefty.
Okay.
And the pass is coming in, and all you got to do is flick it over the pads. He misses the net. And I kind of... Welcome back to Belmont Bunch, the Getting Serious edition, because we're at the midway point, just about 2 games away from the halfway point of the season, the point where we're going to go back to some of my preseason predictions and make fun of me. We're going to go over some of the team stats, talk about some upcoming stuff for the second half. So it'll be a very interesting time for the channel as I do that, and also take 8 different finals for broadcasting school. As we sort of did last week, in our 12-second video. Now, we're going to, so I want to focus actually on game 39 against the Devils. As I mentioned in that 12-second video, we did win both these games. I have the goals and the assists and Varlamov stats up for each of the games, just to give you guys an idea of, a better idea, a more official idea of the scoring, especially just of how other players on the team are doing, other than just the goals, getting some of the assists in there to at least show some guys doing things other than goal scoring. So
it's just guys doing things, you know? Hey.
Just a real couple guys, you know?
Doing things.
Hey! We've been canceled. So, I also gave kind of like my one-word summation of the 3 games this week. I'm going to go over each of the games, kind of, and then bring it home. So let's see. The Minnesota game, I said it was grit and ugly. Other fans would say it was ugly. Fans of other teams, I would say it was grit. It was also ugly. We give up the first goal, but it was a weird-ass goal. It was Ryan Donato ends up tapping it in. This will come back to a theme of us not defending the front of our net very well, which is a very un-Trotzian type thing for a team to do, and I'm sure Trotz is just getting red in the face, trying to scream into these guys the idea that you cannot let players just walk in front of your net. There's interference, but there's also in front of the net, there's net front battles. Not every piece of contact is going to get called. You need to bump these guys around the net and keep them from just standing there to tap in the rebound when the puck goes 800 feet in the air and Varlamov has no idea where it is. So, yeah, Varlamov couldn't have done anything about this goal. This goal is actually more of a... I mean, yes, the element of you can't let guys just walk in front of our net is there, but also a little bit of an element of unluckiness with the puck even bouncing into that position in the first place. So a little bit of bad luck, a little bit of wake up type stuff there. We would turn it around. Pulak would get a nice goal in this game from Barzal and Pelic. May he rest in peace. We will talk about that. Matt Martin, this was a great goal. This is Leo Komarov working his butt off. He worked really hard in this game. I will unfortunately have bad things to say about him coming forward. He played well. The bottom 6 guys, actually, Kuhnhackl included. Nobody saw that. Nobody saw that. Consistency's sake. All right, I dropped another thing.
Wait, the G.
Yeah? Oh my. Oh my. Oh heavens.
For Martin, yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
So, he didn't see anything.
You want to just restart? Okay.
So, we're seeing the bottom 6 guys who have been much maligned recently, actually win us this game, really. Because the top guys, the top 6 guys, I mean, Barzal gets on the score sheet with an assist, but lack of a Lee up there, lack of a Beauvillier, lack of a Eberle. So the top 6 guys, I mean, the scoring drought is not just the bottom 6 thing, unfortunately, right now. Bailey's been invisible recently. But actually, in the Jersey game, I wish he was invisible because he was actively bad, I think. Varlamov played very well. Varlamov starts each of these games, which is obviously bucking the trend. It's the first time all year we've started either goalie 3 times in a row. Kuhnhackl, that's a really nice goal. Nelson off the faceoff nudges it to him, and he does what I want more of the Islanders to do, which is just put it on net. Puts it on net on net quick enough after the draw that the goalie hasn't even gotten down yet, and it's a goal, and they don't all have to be pretty. And Kuhnhackl scored 2 goals this week. Neither was pretty, but they were both high IQ, just throw it on the net type stuff plays. Something we will talk about. So that's kind of it for the Minnesota game. Good to see us get a road win after having some losses to some bad non-playoff teams. Washington, matinee game. Very important. Obviously, another one of those games, much like the Boston game, where you can start to get an idea of what this team's like based on this one gigantic game for them. And they pass, but mostly through a Varley third period in which he made, I think, 17 saves just in the third period alone. That's worrying. They got massively outplayed. I have the shots for each game down here, by the way. We outshoot Minnesota in the first game. Second game, Washington. Hey, check out those shots. Yikes. But I guess that's, during our streak, we were winning games like that. I actually didn't take too much of us giving up 3 goals in this game. We're talking about Washington is like a top 5 offense. So holding them to 3 actually is not that bad. They average over 3 goals a game on the year. So I'll actually take that. And also, none of the goals in this game are Varlamov's fault again, which is good if you're thinking, oh, good, our goaltending isn't the thing that's the liability. But it's bad when you think, oh, our defense is giving up really bad opportunities. Kuznetsov scores from right in front. There's a play where Taves falls asleep for a second. Kuznetsov scores again. It's very worrying, especially when you talk about losing Pelech, who's been our best defensive defenseman, and now he's gone. And we get Sebastian Aho called up. But again, we'll talk about that in another video. Although the Pelech thing, I'm going to mention again, the Devils thing, but we'll talk about Aho in the future of that. But all right, some positives from this game. First of all, you beat the best team in the league. You got to take something out of that, even if it took Varlamov basically turning into 2010 Halak against the Capitals. Cizikas getting on the board twice is really good to see. He's still on pace for about 16 goals, coming off a 20-goal year. And the 20-goal year, everybody, seems was an aberration, you would think at first, but even as the fourth-line center, fourth line on the Islanders is basically like the second based on how well and how often they're deployed, how well they play and how often they're deployed. Words. Good to see Beauvillier get back on the score sheet. Nelson has been very consistent.
That's it. We're starting over.
Nelson with his 15th there. And I know that's true because he's second on the team behind Barzal. Leddy, I've noticed Leddy playing well in these games. I want to point that out to give him the credit he deserves. Mostly offensively. Defensively, I haven't noticed. It hasn't really moved the needle, good or bad. But his speed, it's like having an extra forward out there sometimes. So that's a nice perk to have, and that's also the way the NHL is going, or kind of already is. So that's not a bad thing to have in a defenseman. A rover like Leddy, as Grifflix calls him. But Kuhnhackl scores again in this game. He gets the game winner. Also, Cizikas goal, great deflection. Cizikas again. The second time, Holtby maybe should have had it, but put pucks on net. Pucks on net, baby. Me and my brother, we're the 2 hockey nerds. If you hear people chant at the game, pucks on net, pucks on net, that might be me and my brother because we're real hockey nerds, and also we'll say pucks in deep, pucks in deep. Boring stuff like that because, it's the smart thing to do sometimes.
You should start chants, Belmont Bunch, Belmont Bunch, Belmont Bunch.
It will be received exactly as I received it now. We'll get a tent before a game and we'll be like, hey, we're the Belmont Bunch. And they'll be like,
shirts, get hats.
Lose all the money on them. Barzal assists top line Tommy Kuhnhackl on the game winner in this game. Tom Kuhnhackl, 2 goals in 2 games. Very nice. Not sustainable. Scoring depth. Hey, Lou, I really like this guy named Pajot, and I really like this guy named Duclair. And I'd really like them to be on our team so we could score more than 1 goal a game on one of the worst defenses in the league. So let's try that. Anyway, Varlamov, God mode in this game, was incredible, especially in the third. Held on for our dear lives. We commit a really bad penalty with exactly 1 minute left, holding on to a 1-goal lead, and a game we really, really, really want to have. Don't do that. Stop doing that. Scott Mayfield's been committing a lot of penalties recently. He should stop doing that, especially if Pellich is out. I hate to keep coming back to that, but I'm very worried. Devontae is going to have to take the reins here. Our goalie won the duel, and I didn't think he played especially bad, considering 3 goals were allowed. I mean, look at the amount of shots. So, Devils game. Burn it. Burn it with hellfire. See what I did? So,
I get it.
It was interesting. Shut up.
I get it. It's a good one, Tom.
I went to the game with my family last night, and it was a very Trotzian game for a lot of it, in that both teams were playing. I mean, it wasn't like they were playing for a 0-0 game, but both teams. They were throwing pucks to the net. Both goalies were playing great very early. We get a goal that gets disallowed that I actually think should have counted, but I can understand the call. At least I can sort of understand it with a few of the other replay angles. Still don't think it's enough, but maybe I'll look at another angle that changes my mind again. But I'm not gonna let that be an excuse, because they still did not really acquit themselves very well even after that. Though they get on a 4-on-4 a goal from Brock Nelson where he just snipes it from the slot. He's got some shot, and I'd love to see him just throw the puck on that as often as he can. But Nelson's a player that already sort of does that, so I'm not critiquing him there. It's just I love seeing his wrist shot, so I want to see more of it. On pace for 30 goals, which would be fantastic, and he is one of the best players on this team, which is, if you told us a few years ago, I think a lot of people would be surprised. Pulak and Brassard grabbed the assists, although that was pretty much all Nelson on this one. Varlamov, 29 out of 31, really couldn't have had either of the goals. Those being a PK Subban slapper from the point, straight off of a defensive zone face-off in the second. And in the first minute of the third, a lost face-off in our own zone, immediately squirming in front of our net, and he sheer taps it in. And James and actually the fans next to us as well, who were also seemed to be big hockey nerds, and we were talking about how we can't win a face-off and this and that. So you can imagine my shock when I looked and I saw that we won the face-off battle. It just felt like we lost most of the important ones. I mean, both goals came off this D-zone face-offs. I know we're not a great face-off team as it is. I think we came into last night at 50%, which is all right. It's not awful. The Devils came in last night at something like 47%, and obviously we still won the face-off battle as a whole, but just some really badly timed face-off losses. And I guess you could say late, the third period we had a little bit of a push late mostly, but there was not a sense that we were going to score, because I think we saw it on a power play we had somewhat late in the game where we're just not getting the puck to the net. It really does feel like we are, especially our defensemen on the blue line, are not looking to shoot. When you have the lane and you're down by a goal, context is important. When you have a lane and you're down a goal, I think you just need to throw it on net, especially with a team that's been struggling to score. Doing the exact opposite. Overcomplicating the matter is not going to help. I think in a game like this against New Jersey, you should play a very simple game, because they're not a good team. They're just not. They're not a good team. They're amongst the worst teams.
Nice.
But they are not the bottom. Hello, Detroit. Really, against a team like that, just play simple. I wonder after the game, Trotz said we got away from our game after the first. I don't even know how much we had it in the first either. We come out in the third and we looked pretty bad to start the third, and we get punished for it, and kind of deservedly so. But shots pretty even. This was a pretty even game, which would be more acceptable if it wasn't the last place team in our division. That was 19 points behind us coming into the game. Talking about two quick things at the end of the Devil game. Komarov has is standing right in front of Blackwood with the puck. There's a defenseman between him and Cizikas. He passes on the shot, and at the time, I even said, "Oh, I don't mind the pass there." The pass, by the way, gets deflected by a skate. We don't get a goal out of it. At the time, I was thinking, well, it's Komarov. He can't lift the puck even, so he's not going to score. But then I remembered, as the Islanders should remember, you don't have to shoot for a goal. Interesting as that sounds, you could shoot for a rebound. You shoot against the pads, force a pad save that kicks the puck out to Cizikas, who taps it right back in. Put it on the net, and what's going to happen out of it? Some of the different scenarios that could happen. It gets saved and held. All right, well, now you have an offensive zone faceoff. And that's the worst case scenario of you putting it on the net. One of the other options is you shoot it and he lets in a bad goal. Maybe he's expecting something high, and because you're Leo Komarov and you can't shoot above the ice, you put it through his legs. All right? You're also in tight, so all it takes is maybe some speed on that. Option number 3, shoot with the intent of getting the rebound to Cizikas. Try to throw it to that far post. Make him make that left pad save and push it out to Cizikas, who taps it in. Or you can try to pass it to Cizikas through the defender's legs, watch it get deflected, and then go, oh no. He chose number 4. Last play of the game, we've won some face-offs in a row. With 10 seconds left, we call a timeout. Trotz obviously going through some strategy with the guys. We do win the face-off again. I think it was Nelson. He did pretty well near the end in the face-off circle. You get it out to Pulak. You've got a lane. He ends up passing it to Barzal, who, because he's a righty and he's on his wrong side, has no real chance of making a play out of this. The puck doesn't even end up on net. Pulak has to shoot this. I mean, this team is shot averse right now, and if you're not scoring, not shooting isn't going to help that. I joked before the game with my brother. We do our score predictions before every game, and we say we try to guess who's going to score the first goal of every game. And I said Bailey yesterday, but it won't be a shot. In classic Bailey fashion, he'll try to pass it, it'll go off somebody and go in, and it'll go credited to him. We're not even good enough to do that right now because we're not even putting it relatively close to the net. So when you're down late in the game, put the puck on net and look for deflections. Anders Lee is fantastic at this. Why is this not a thing? Why are we passing it with 4 seconds left to a guy that has to now readjust back onto his forehand? And this obviously, because we had just called timeout, obviously we went over this. So how do you then immediately have a brain fart like that? And I'm coming back to it again. Even though Pelech isn't a great offensive defenseman, and I don't know if he would have taken that shot, in his stead, somebody's going to need to step up, and I thought every defenseman last night looked a little bit gun shy. Nobody was poking him like Pelech. See our other video for that. I am worried. I am a little bit worried. I'm not in full panic mode. That would be kind of absurd considering we still won 2 of the 3 games, 2 of them being on the road. I am annoyed that we've lost 4 straight games at Nassau Coliseum. That is ridiculous. That shouldn't happen. And those 4 teams, none of them are playoff teams. So fix it. Get it right. Start throwing it on net. Defend the front of your crease against the other team. I'm worried, but I'm not terrified yet. We'll see. We got some games coming up. We're going to see the Rangers a bunch. This month is a good schedule for us in terms of travel. I think we play 11 games. We play 8 of them in the tri-state area. With the Rangers, we're playing a couple times. We're playing the Devils a couple times. And we have a decent amount of home games. So this month needs to be a big turnaround. Not a big turnaround. They lost 1 game. It's just a frustrating loss. So it feels like more than 1 loss. I'm not going to lie. That's probably because I've seen 3 straight losses at the Coliseum. And last year I saw them win 10 out of 11. And 10 in a row after seeing them lose the first one. So I'm a little bit spoiled. Like I said, we're going to be talking about Pelech, how that affects the team. I want to do a video on the lineup that I would construct with the current roster. Or the current organizational roster. And also look for us talking about my predictions from beginning of the year at the halfway point. Stars of the week. Varlamov was fantastic. Started all 3 games. Don't know if he gave up a bad goal in the lot. Nelson has been shooting a lot. That's what I want to see. He's got a wicked wrister. Good job. Cizikas, it was hard to pick the third star of the week. I really felt Nelson and Varlamov were kind of head and shoulders ahead of everybody. Cizikas was very, very noticeable in what was the most important game of the week, which was the Washington one. Thus, he gets that. Though, I am now thinking of this. I am going to award a 4th because
this has never been done before.
I don't think he'll end up on this for the rest of the year, so I have to give him the credit now. And let's hope I spelled that right. But top line, Tommy Kuhnhackl. 2 goals in 3 games. I have to give him the credit while it's there, because it won't be there very long based on his career history. Also, I was driving home the other day and I heard his sign in to the Islanders radio network, and he's like, I'm Tom Kuhnhackl, and I was like, I forgot you're from Germany. You're not just German ancestry, you are from Germany. He had a very German accent. Him and Grice must have wonderful conversations.
Quick shout out to Martin,
Matt Martin?
Yeah, Matt Martin, who's expecting a child.
Yes,
yeah.
With his smoking hot wife.
Ridiculously hot wife.
Yes, Sydney Esiason. Yeah, congrats on that. What a family. You know what? Give him a 5th star.
We should have flipped it, and I had Varlamov as the star of the week, and then 3 people in the sin bin.
Oh, well,
Nelson was good.
Nelson definitely deserved it, and Kuhnhackl needs it while it's there, like I said.
He's going to watch this video, and it's going to bring tears.
He's going to be like, I will take it. That was not a German accent. Bailey. Bailey has been less than invisible. And you could say, what is less than invisible? That's an absolute. Only Sith deal in absolutes. I would say he wishes he was invisible, would be the better phrase. Because he has been bad. He's been pretty bad. The last good play I can recall him making was the feed to Ross Johnston for his goal against the Blackhawks. Haven't seen that since. Haven't seen a semblance of that. He's been out muscled to every puck ever since then. And this is coming from a guy that likes Bailey. And I know the majority of the fan base, I think, is still on the I don't like Josh Bailey bandwagon. Yeah, right now he's not adding much to a team that really needs scoring. Mayfield, stop committing penalties, please. And also, you're like, I feel like he's not an ego, but recently he's been just in a bad mood. But like in a cocky bad mood, because he's like laughing as he goes to the penalty box. And I'm like, you committed the penalty! I almost said relax, but then I realized I was screaming the word relax. And then, calm down! I am calm! Eberle, much similar to Bailey. Do something, anything. You are the first ever sniper to have 3 goals halfway through the season. We got to take the player category of sniper off of Eberle's name and put playmaker there, because that's nicer to what he does now. So that's that. I could talk more, but I will have an aneurysm. That's this week. Hopefully next week is better. It does at least show that our expectations are high, that we win 2 of 3 and we are still frustrated. And that's something to say about the organizational structure right now. But that's it for this week. Like and subscribe if you feel like you want to. I'm not telling you to, but you want to. So that's it for the week. We'll see you next week. Bye.